order. Once I'd like to call public, do we have any public on this one?
We do not at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Then, our first item is consider approving the request to hire Isabella County driver roll off curbside at the non-union employee wage scale pay grade 6, step 5 years in the amount of $18.09 per hour. Yeah. Jake Horton, our director here.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
How's everybody doing today?
Good, you?
Everybody recovering from that heavy coma? That's not a bad thing, no. Um, As you can see, we're looking to hire another driver. We had a driver leave. That had been here for just shy of 14 years. Wow. Unfortunately, but as you can see in the staff report, they left for the dollar. $5 an hour and a $10,000 sign-on bonus is hard to compete with. It really is, and especially the starting driver wage, anywhere in the mid-Michigan area is $20 or above an hour. So we're looking to try and hire somebody at the 1809 mark. By doing that, there's no effect on budget because we've already had it budgeted in for that person that did leave, and they were at the top of the scale, obviously. Like I said, all we're trying to do is entice somebody. Hopefully, we can get somebody to hire in at 1809. We've had a couple of interviews so far. One of them, right out of the gate, they wanted, to discuss. He wanted to discuss wages, and figured we had somebody that works for us now. Encouraged him to apply, and when I let him know that where the starting wage was and where it maxed out, the interview ended in about 15 minutes. Obviously, wasn't interested in taking a job that was making less money than what he is right now, and it's understandable. We have another candidate that maybe a possibility. The biggest thing is that he's really looking for one of the biggest benefits that we have, and that's our insurance, PTO, things like that. He's working through a construction company right now. It's a good potential that he'll get laid off in the winter. He just wants something that's more consistent. So that's the reason why we're bringing it forward. This seems to get your approval to be able to hire at 1809.
You can't find a driver for 1464.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not surprising. It is nice that the benefit package is somewhat of a hiring incentive.
We run the risk, unfortunately, with the wage where it's at, we run the risk of hiring somebody, they, work for 6 months or a year and moving anyways, with their wage down where it's at. But that's one of the potentials that we have to take, that risk. And as it is, this gentleman is, he's a captain on Homer Township Fire Department, Midland County. So it is something that he has interest in municipality as well. So you run a risk of anybody leaving, but like I said, the big thing is the potential for us to be able to hire somebody in that understands it's worked somewhat within the municipal system now, so they understand what the potential is there. The benefit may outweigh the dollar figure is the best that we can hope for out of it. So.
Anything else?
No other questions?
No, sounds.
To you,
sounds
either
reasonable.
to ourselves, there might be a question. Looking at this down the road.
Well, and I think, and Nicole and I have discussed, and she's discussed with you guys, we think that we have the tools within the county to look at job classifications. So, I know there was discussion through the course and through the budget process with doing another wage study, but we think we have the tools within, and Nicole and I are gonna look at, she's gonna use my department as one of the areas. That we'll look at, find out whether the tools will work, and if they will work, then we know that we can carry it through the rest of the county. So,
Yeah, I think we're looking at 3 of these, new hire step. I'll call it a step increase, but starting new hires at a higher step. Because we've got this problem throughout.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the pandemic is enhanced that issue. And this is driven not only cost of everything else, but it's the cost of wage costs. And the unfortunate side of it is that we don't see an end in sight in that. So the only thing we can do is kind of the here and now, so to speak, and try and get somebody in. Yes, at this point. So.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay, that being said, consider approving the request to hire an Isabel County driver roll-off curbside at a non-union employee wage scale. Pay grade 6, step 5 years in the amount of $18.09 per hour.
Support. It's been moved and supported to move item 3 to the regular session of the county commission next week. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Ayes carried, and the item will be forwarded next week to the work session.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Jake.
You guys do.
Okay, our next item is consider approving the Isabella County Master Plan adopted for resolution PC 22-01 by the Isabella County Planning Commission on November 10th of 2022 in accordance with the Michigan Planning and Enabling. Okay, we have the new for community development director here to talk to you.
Morning.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, so this is a process that's required for review every 5 years, and that's when I'm taking a look at every 5 years. So the state law allows us to, it's not something that we have to rewrite a document every 5 years. The state law just requires there to be a review process in place. As I stated to you, probably time and time again over the last 5, 6, 7 years, Planning Commission annually takes a look at this. I take feedback throughout the year, and it's one of our goals we discuss. Is there something in the master plan that seems off? Is the master plan good? Is there a few little tweaks here? Did we miss something in the map there, kind of thing? And we can keep this tally going. With the 2020 census and the release of the census data back in last February, most of the data for the 2020 census was released. It was a big push. We need to get that stuff implemented and pushed into the document. So that was our drive to get this thing reviewed and updated this time. So process-wise, under the Michigan Planning and Enabling Act, we were required to go through many steps. And I'm just going to kind of briefly walk you back through that. Back in early 22, the Planning Commission had to authorize us to move forward. We had to send letters of intent to all of the surrounding partners and neighbors, basically everybody in the county, all cities, townships, villages within the county, all cities, townships, and villages that are adjacent to the county, all counties that are adjacent to it. Quite a list, quite a knowing that goes out. Bonus is it doesn't change. It's always the same. The people change sometimes, but it's the clerk of such and such township, and we can get that letter out pretty easily. So we send out those notices that we intend to update the master plan. Back in May, June, and July, basically, we rewrote the document, put the edits, and did all that stuff with the Planning Commission. And the Planning Commission sent it to you guys, I think it was in July, for distribution. We send it out, and distribution goes back to that same group of people that we send the notice of intent to. They have an opportunity for 42-day comment period. They can send us feedback in that 42 days. We went a little bit longer than that because our conference, our planning annual conference, fell kind of at that one meeting, so we ended up canceling the meeting. So people had actually about another extra month to respond to our notice.
Did you get a lot of feedback?
We got two feedback.
Is that considered a lot?
That is considered a lot for yes. If there's not a fire in the room, that's a lot. So, yeah, so Gratiot County did respond, basically responded with, we received it, we reviewed it, it looks good, it's compatible with what we have. And the Village of Lake Isabella also did receive it, and they had, I think it was about 5 bullet points for things for consideration. At time of public hearing, so after distribution, the planning commission holds a public hearing, discusses those, and then also can receive feedback at public hearing, of which we received no feedback at the public hearing. But during that public hearing, the feedback that we received from Lake Isabella, we did incorporate a couple of pieces of those into the document. The pieces that we felt could move into the document, we moved into the document. The other pieces were more like, let's have better communication, let's talk more, those kinds of things. So we did receive it. It was good feedback and good input. So I'm going to run you through quickly the areas in which we did do updates. I think. So we did some general updates, grammatical fixes, text sizing, changed the cover on the picture, table of contents was updated, those types of things. In the maps on page 7 of the document and page 20 of the document. So on page 7, I think it's about the 3rd paragraph from the bottom. This is talking about existing land use data. We have some maps for existing land use data, and then we have some narrative to that existing land use data. The data that we used to use is 1978 MIRIS data. It's a state data set that just doesn't get updated from the state of Michigan. Never gets updated. So there's a national land use database out there, and it gets updated every 3 to 5 years. And so we didn't implement it and incorporate it in this time. We referenced it, and we put a county-wide land use map from the National Institute into the document on page 20, sort of as a reference when we really do a formal rewrite of this document in the next 5 or so years, that we move over and away from the MIRIS data set into something that is more readily available and something that's updated more frequently. So we just kind of put it in there as reference this time. Then on pages 60 through 75, those are our future land use documents, our existing ones. Basically what we did was they used to sit in a landscape style, which read funny in the document. Yeah, that was
yeah.
we just redid the maps into a portrait so that they read a little bit better for the document. 3 of those maps, being Denver, Isabella, and Sherman, all had really minor modifications and changes. We jump to Denver. Denver's on page 65. So Denver Township, if you look at this angle that runs right here, that angle used to run down here. It was in the wrong spot for years and years and years. And we recognized it, we knew it. Planning Commission was aware of it and knew it. And we said, even though the plan reads this way, we're implementing it this way. We just changed it and fixed it. Since we were in the maps and we were making the changes to turn the portrait, we made the fix and changed it. Broomfield Township, same type of a thing. There was a little, no, Isabella Township, sorry. So in Isabella Township, how that angle runs again, the angle was correct on this one, except in the second section up. There's just a little corner triangle right there that we had to connect the lines, otherwise it wouldn't have read right. So that was the modification we made there. And then in Sherman Township, which is page 72, I believe. Yes, page 72. We did a little bit of work in the corner just north of the Village of Lake Isabella, which is that hashed area. Right near the corner, there's a little industrial area there. There was some modification and changes, Lower Manufacturing that's right there. And they did some rezoning activity, and we just wanted to update the plan for that. And Sherman Township participated in this process and actually asked us if we would do that. So we went ahead and did those changes for them. So those are the 3 very minor changes to the maps that were made. Then the demographic and census data was updated throughout the document. Page 31 of the document, just to highlight a couple areas which smacks us all right in the face. Page 31 is population.
Just looking at the graph up at the top, you can see our 2020 census had our population come down. You know, you can see the graph and the curve that we were on, and we were on a growth expectation, and in 2020 it came down. Was that due to pandemic? Was that what were those reasons? They're just unknown still, I think, at this point. I think we'll see in another 10 years when we get the new data, the 2030 census. And then the same thing you'll see pandemic related on page 36 under unemployment rate. See the unemployment rate in 2020 just skyrocketed as compared to where it's been.
Yeah.
So again, nothing uncommon, very bottom of page 36 there in that graph. It spikes up back in 2009-8 time, starts coming its way back down, hits 2020 and goes through the roof. So with that data that we received through the census, those are the two major points that really popped out at us for change. Moving forward in the document on page 44. This was added, this airport and approved airport plans. So the master plan requires us to incorporate into, the state law, the Michigan Planning Enabling Act requires us to put into the master plan any airport plans that we receive throughout the county. We've had them on file, and we've had a couple on file for about 7-8 years. But when the turbines came along, we had a few others pop up. And so we decided that, you know, we may as well put these in here this time, not wait for a full rewrite. We got them in there. So we basically listed those that we have plans for. And those plans are kept in house in our department. If somebody wants to see them, we can pull out that airport layout plan. And basically, an airport layout plan basically lays a conical area of landing and takeoff, areas where certain heights are impacting those runways. Out of the city airport here, I believe on the east side of that runway. When you get on the highway, you notice all the woods and trees are cleared out. That part of the reason they borrowed our LiDAR data from us so that they could get a look at all those tree heights. Because those tree heights were beginning to impact the lights on the runway for the airplanes. So they had to get that all cleared out of there so that they had clear navigation points between the plane and the actual runway. So
Wow, that degree of, it's out.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
I don't know if I knew there was a Woodruff Lake Airport.
Yeah, it's a private group right out by Woodruff Lake. Most of the owners sit in a little residential density area around the south east corner of the lake. And it actually sits between what's the company that they're at? Bandit, yeah, Bandit. It sits, so Bandit owns and got complex on the one side of the airport, and now they've expanded to the other side of the actual airport there, or the runway itself there. But it's private, pretty small utilization. So the airport layout plans were implemented. Page 46. Sorry, page 47. Under economy, the second bullet point, to support and encourage economic diversity. And then when you turn over to page 48, we added a bullet policy statement there that support the state initiative to diversify energy consumption and increase clean energy production throughout the renewable energy resources. So because we had the turbines in, because there's solar activity going on, and because we've accepted those things here, it felt like for encouraging that economic diversity, continuing to do so should be a policy statement of ours. So we added it as a policy statement.
Good.
There's a group of survey at the back of the document. It was a survey roughly right about where you were. Next page 50, starting out. So there was a survey there that was done when we first implemented this master plan, and the survey was of the townships. Sent it to the township officials, asked them what their thoughts of our goals and our objectives were, and had them rank them so that we knew what was important to them. And we redid it because we hadn't redone it since the beginning. And ironically, the top 5 or 6 pretty much stayed in line with what they used to be. The bottom 5 or 6 stayed in line with what it used to be, in the middle kind of jumped around a little bit. So there wasn't a lot of change, but I think it helps guide the planning commission to know and understand that the most important things to the townships are communication, which is why we have, worked since the beginning of this adoption of this master plan to incorporate and put townships on our agenda. So the townships that we do planning and zoning activities for, they're invited. They have a agenda item on every planning commission agenda for them to come and speak. We don't get many of them to come, but we do have the invite there. We do also have a mailing list. They all get copies of our agendas and minutes from previous minutes so that we can just keep them abreast of what's going on with the planning commission. So that was what we had done pre-distribution. That has stayed. The couple things that got added from Lake Isabella were updating their existing land use. They came back to us and said, hey, the existing land use inside of Lake Isabella isn't quite accurate. We'd like for you to update that. Well, we weren't really updating that because of the MIRIS change to the national data set. We weren't making those changes. So what we did do was we put another reference into the document and we included what they sent to us, their change. So there is a map of Lake Isabella in here that shows what they feel their existing land use is. Thought it was easy enough just to implement it for now, and we'll kind of shake it out the rest of the way when we do a full rewrite. And then the other thing was under B, on page 7. Oh no, that's right, page 7. Seven is the discussion of where the land use map is. Well, but page 46. So there was another reference that came from them that said, Michigan Planning Enabling Act says we should identify the areas and locations of municipal water and sewer systems throughout the county. And so what, we never had it. So what we did right under where we put this section in for airports, I'm sorry, 44. And I'm sorry, it's all over. I thought I had these page numbers correct. I just checked them yesterday afternoon, and clearly they're not. So on there, so we put the airports in there right underneath the sanitary sewer and water supply systems. Basically, all we did was we added a section so that we comply with the Michigan Planning Enabling Act as requested by Lake Isabella, and identified those areas that have municipal sewer and or water systems. So with the Beale City sewer system out there, I think Lake Isabella said, hey, we want to make sure that this gets identified. We have the water system out at Lake Isabella. We have Rosebush has, we have Shepherd has, we have City of Clare has, and then the city of Mount Pleasant here in the heart of the county. So those were the couple changes that were made after comments were received. Planning Commission held their public hearing, heard no other comments, and unanimously by resolution approved the document. And so then in 2006, the county board had implemented its authority to have final approval. You don't have to have, but there is a resolution from 2006 that says the county board wants to have the final authority approval on the master plan. So basically what the planning commission is looking for is your final approval of the document that they've formally approved by resolution.
Sounds good. I'm glad to see renewable energy added in the vision goals. Made sense.
It was an important, one of the more important pieces, I think, to get
Yeah.
into our, countywide strategy, especially since we have, not only did we do a project here, but one happened in Co Township, which is under their own master plan, which is under their own zoning. And so if we feel that this is going on from participators or those that are within county jurisdiction and outside of the county jurisdiction, then it really kind of tells the tale that we should have something there to make sure people understand that we are, renewable energy driven. As a county.
Yeah. Yep, and then the looks like Lake Isabella area and Broomfield, Sherman Townships are where the growth is at.
Yeah, and I think, some of that is, Lake Isabella had a release of lands from being restricted from buildable sites to unbuildable about 5 years ago, 2017, 18, 19, somewhere in that time frame. And when those released, lots sold up out at Lake Isabella that were sitting stagnant and weren't really selling because they were unbuildable lots. And,
What changed?
well, I think the DNR came back and said they just don't think that the soil that, they think that the lot sizes out there are adequate enough to keep the pollutants out of the water
Okay.
from a septic type of a system.
Got it.
I do believe also that lots of discussion out there about them getting into municipal sewer system themselves at some point, I think drives some of that. So the question is while the growth is happening out there, is it moving out of the city of Mount Pleasant to go there? Because a lot of that got bought up locally. So are people just moving around the county a little bit? Which, we're seeing a decline in population, but we're seeing that area grow up. It grew up because we basically released the ability for people to build there. So I think some of the people are just moving around the county. Out to that area. It's a water feature. It's a great area. It's got a golf course. There's an Ace Hardware coming out there in that area, so it's kind of building itself up to be a Canadian Lake style area.
Kind of a self-supporting
Yeah.
area where you wouldn't have to travel into town every
You
time.
can get all your little conveniences that you need, right?
Yeah.
Right there.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Yep, I think the loss of population in the city isn't any huge surprise, and I think probably the decline in CMU's enrollment has a lot to do with that.
Had a lot to do with it on top of the fact that I think even further declined because of when the census, took off. We were,
Yeah,
I was on a huge campaign right up until March of 2020 and April 1 is
That's right.
census day and everything shut down, It was like, now what? Where does this go? What happened? And it sort of just happened.
Right.
Like, I don't really know what happens to it. There was just 2 years later, we saw data and the data looked
Got
like,
done.
it expected to look like it declined.
I was wondering, I love maps, I was wondering if I could get these land use maps on a bigger, landscape.
Maybe even
Color.
color, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can get them, we send it digitally. It is color when it's digital.
I know, we promote black and white
Yeah,
in admin.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you wanted just a bigger,
yeah,
bigger sheet, okay,
Yeah.
yep, we can, I can do that.
all right,
You want them paper hard copy then?
Yeah.
Digitally, okay.
Yep.
I can do that.
okay. Appreciate it. Very good.
Yeah,
That's all I
thanks.
have. I'll mess up.
Good discussion.
Okay, with that being said, I'll consider approving the Isabel County Master Plan as adopted per resolution PC 22-01 by the Isabel County Planning Commission on November 10th of 2022 in accordance with the Michigan Planning Enabling Act.
Support. It's been moved and supported to move item 4 to the work and regular session of the county commission next week. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, the same. The ayes carry. Item 4 will be forwarded to next week's meetings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Okay, our next item is consider adopting Isabella County Board of Commissioners Resolution number 2022-10, authorizing the submittal of the Michigan Spark Grant application to support the Herrick Recreation Area Development Project and authorize the board chair to sign the same. We have, and it's two and right here.
How you doing?
Good morning.
I got a copy right here. That says, that's what you need? Give me a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I
sorry
see.
about that. Yes, this is the Spark Fund. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but they've
Pretty
been-
brand new, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Like hot off the press. This was a nice turnaround.
Yeah, it's, I don't know, if you know, I was reading over here and I should know this. I don't know really, Spark doesn't, I think Spark is to spark and get it done. I mean, the acronym on here is, well, of course, I'm setting myself up for you to ask me that. That was a big concern. I was gonna Google it real quick and I did it, but I
Could
they
make
definitely
sense of
got the spark from the, state parks
State
and
parks.
recreation, but I don't know if the K would be. But anyways, this is a new program to try to do what they're terming shovel-ready projects. And I will say, my eyes are watering, so you guys aren't making me cry. I'm having a little issue here with my allergies, I think, so I will be rubbing my eyes during this report. But anyway, so this is the grant program was distributed. It's a total of $65 million, which is crazy, a lot of money. And if you remember, there was this press release a year ago that there was at one point over 300 million that was going to be given to the state Parks and Recreation. I think it was down to like under three, I think it was like 200 and some thousand. When, or excuse me, 200 and some million after all was said and done. So it was just a windfall that the state's never seen. And then they even did a press conference with our state association that represents the local Parks and Recreation. So it's kind of a cool thing. And then we were waiting to hear what the portion was, and it's 65 million. So we are trying to do, we have our 20-year plan. We have a number of projects that, we're always working on. And this was one that we could, I think, had a good turnaround, and we really needed it. The park at Herrick on the south side, so this is the campground side, has a very small little slide. It's old, it's a metal, old school, so when it's a sunny day, you can't, it's like a, hot potato. Swings and I think there's one more piece there that I can't think right now. But it's all under dirt and grass. I mean, it's not the safety surface that you're supposed to have. And as you see in our, Rachel put together the statistics here. In the second paragraph, it talks about by the end of the summer, September, or the seasons 2021, we had an increase of 40% increase use. So COVID really got people out in parks. And then, and by nearly 60% when compared to the 2020 numbers. So Herrick is, kind of more of a park that people, when they're on the highway, they might need a place to stay on their way up north. Or a lot of local people do camp there as well, but not like Coldwater. There's not an all sports lake. So that's really a key to many of the campgrounds that are booked. People want that body of water there. That's big for the sporting sports to be an all sports lake. But they do have ponds up there for fishing, canoe, kayaking, rowboats, boats for fishing. So it does attract people, but it's not the same. But they do have bigger sites than we do have Coldwater, and it just proved to be very popular the last 3 years. We've had banner years now.
It's one of our
Which you-
favorite swimming spots in the
Yeah.
summertime.
This is nice. It's a nice
Yeah.
beach.
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
nice.
So we put together this grant to try to receive funds. I do have one change on this. I just I had staff that was gone. Kurt and I met yesterday. He was gone for 2 weeks. We had just a little bit of an increase from the 293. We're going to request 319,000. Our building was for the project fund was a little low, and Kurt thought we needed to bump that up a little bit.
Better than coming back here to ask for the money. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
We do have funds to match, but yeah, so we did
319.
319, and I have the repaired one, and I'll make sure that Jess.
Perfect.
It was also updated on the resolution. So the project includes the playground. It includes repairs to the bathhouse. The bathhouse has never had brief updates. It's really in need of updates. An update. The bones of it is really good. It's a block building, so we could power wash it. We did take a look at it with staff, and we're confident that we can just get it done for the price that we have now. Well, unless something else happens with the pricing of construction, but right now that's in the plans. Also, we'll have a path from the bathhouse to the playground, which is behind, and it will be an accessible path. And then, of course, the surface of the playground will be an approved ADA surface. We'll probably use 5-bar and then a little bit of a poured surface as well that we used at Coldwater. That allows for wheelchairs or people that really need stability and access, improved access for part of the playground. Wheelchairs can go over the 5-bar, but there's areas like when you get onto the climbing areas to to get out of a wheelchair, that if you still have some mobility, the cord surfacing, or so I guess sometimes it could be like a puzzle surfacing that we use. The cord is a little bit better surface for that. So we're quite expensive, so we kind of do two. It also includes also the renovation of pit toilet that we have, female by the cabins. It's a little rough, and it would be nice to get that updated. So these are three areas that we want to improve, and it's pretty much is shovel ready. We're confident that we can, get it out to in the RFBs, a piece,
Know what you want? It's a B.
the bees.
If we don't know what we want, it's a P.
We want to be.
We want to be. We
wanna
know
be.
what we want. We
Yeah.
want to be.
So we would be interested in doing that, and then like I said, right now, it wouldn't have any matching funds. In the financial section, it shows that it's a reimbursement grant, meaning we pay for it up front as we go, and then they reimburse you, the DNR reimburse us afterwards. So this is that type of a grant that was due December 19th. It's Rachel's doing the final touches on it, and we've got to just we can do it by hand, map, site plan, but we're gonna do it with the GIS to do an overlay. Nice. So we're working on that right now. Yeah, first we were like, maybe we don't have time, but I'm telling you, yeah. Rachel-
Everybody else is gonna say that.
Well, I wouldn't tell anybody else. We have the opportunity. No,
So
there's
that's why
something-
we'll get it.
No.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I thought you guys had-
Yes, let them say that. We'll get
Yeah,
it.
but there is another round in the spring, but no, I'm glad we did it, because it took a lot, but we got, it's getting done, so.
Yeah,
please read it.
it's great.
So requirement is to have this resolution, and this will be updated with the new amount, and I don't know if you guys have any questions. We're excited about it. I mean, it's hopefully, yeah, just never seen anything like it, and so hopefully we'll get it. There's no, the matches, the point system is there's no points if you don't give a match. And,
Nice.
a little bit just forgiving of not, I don't say not as competitive. I'm not quite sure how they're gonna do it, but we're glad to put it in, and we can put it in again. There's no penalty, if we don't get it the first time. But I think it's a good project, and Herrick has been a little, I don't say neglected in a bad way, but we just have been focusing on our other
Priorities.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, so.
Well, it's a great project. Yeah, it'll be a nice improvement to that part.
We do have, just so you know, I'll be back again. No, I won't be back again. But somebody else will be back again. I won't be. But we're putting in a DNR grant for the north part of part two. That playground is very outdated. And so we're putting in for that as a development fund for the DNR.
Oh,
Okay, that's not due till April 1st, so that will, we've already kind of started that one a little bit, but that is a match. We budgeted for that one, so
When do you find out if we get it?
in question, it's due December 19th, and we find out in early January
for the DNR,
for this
for
one.
this one.
Yes.
Okay,
The other one, as you know, it could be 9 months, yeah.
yeah.
A
Okay.
while. So Herrick will get a good makeover.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you for making it a priority.
Oh, yeah.
Being said, I'll consider adopting the Isabel County Board of Commission Resolution number 2022-10, authorizing the submittal of Michigan Spark Grant application to support recreation area development project, and authorize board chair to sign the same.
Support. It's been moved and supported to move item 5 to the work and regular session of the county commission next week. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. The ayes carry. Item 5 will be forwarded to the work and regular sessions of county commission next week. Thank
Okay,
you.
good. If I find out what spark, if it stands for something.
Okay.
Have
Okay.
a good day.
Item, consider approving 2022 to 2023 snow removal services agreements 1, 2, and 3, and 4, with Foley Contracting LLC and authorize the board chair to sign the same. We have Steve Schumacher, our facilities director here to take us back over this side.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Basically, with the agreements you see in front of you are the same ones that we've had here for at least that I know of the 3 years I've done the snow bids. The only changes is that there used to be 3 bids and I converted it to 4. My hope was to include more people bidding, more contractors. I took and put GIS maps this year. I highlighted the sidewalks. I put red X's where the snow to go. I thought I'd put it out there pretty well. And we only had 2 contractors show up for a mandatory meeting. And one was deemed unresponsive as they didn't submit all the necessary documents. I have taken this year and spoken to Matt Weaver at the City of Mount Pleasant, and they are gonna haul our snow piles away for us. My hope in doing that was some of these smaller snow plowers that don't have a loader, don't have a truck, would still be able to bid. We'll work on that again next year. So we're pretty set there. This is the same agreement though that has been signed by the past administrator, so there's nothing really new to that. I put the bid out in September, gave them 2 weeks to attend the mandatory meeting and another 2 weeks to configure their bids. And as it says, there was only one that was deemed responsive, that was Boley Contracting. So it's my recommendation that we accept the bid for the agreement with Boley Contracting for this year's snowplow removal.
Any questions or comments on that?
I would say they've been taking good care of us since the bid without the contract.
Yes.
Because of the early snow, they have been,
Wow.
they already have been, taking care of us
I
without the
didn't know that
contract.
he had, the bid, but that we didn't have any paperwork signed yet until we go through the formalities here at the meetings.
It looks like, I know they were the only bidder, but it looks like the prices are reasonable.
Mhm.
I thought so. I think both bidders have reasonable prices. I mean, I wasn't concerned there. It's just gonna depend on how much it snows,
Yeah.
how many times they gotta come out. That's
Yeah.
hard to
Hey.
predict, for a financial impact, it's like this. Last year, we didn't have to have any snow hauled away. There wasn't that much.
Yeah.
Who knows what this year brings?
Yeah.
Appreciate all the prep that you did. That's right.
Thank you.
Sunrise.
Yeah, and working with the city on that removal. That's,
I think to have a good relationship like that is a great thing.
yep, absolutely.
Okay. Consider approving the 2022-2023 snow removal service agreement 1234 with Boley Contracting LLC and authorized board to.
Support. It's been moved and supported to move item 6 to the working regular session of the county commission next week. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, the same. The motion carries. Item 6 will be forwarded to the working regular session of the county commission next week. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Have a good.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll call for the public. Any questions?
There is no one at this time, Mr. Chairman.
With that being the case, I'll adjourn the human resources and public works. Thank you.